Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Canfield. I'm with the Select Board here in the town of Scituate, and Happy New Year. It is January 3rd of 2022, and I know everyone's anxious to hear from our town administrator about the update for our town, so I am going to flip it right over to Jim Bedreau.
So good morning, Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a nice holiday. We're going to get right into the COVID update today instead of starting with water like we normally do. Unfortunately, the data is not great to compare this week. Our numbers was 37. Last week we had 41, but last week's was missing 2 days. And this week does not include any tests that may have happened or reports for the school. So there's no school data for this week, just the data that we get reported to from the state. So the number comparison is probably not a great thing for this week. However, our positivity rating was up to 8.82, up from 6.48. So that's probably the more definitive number for this week. So cases are still rising here in Scituate. Plymouth County's at 10.59, up from 8.81 of last week. Plymouth County has the second highest percentage in the Commonwealth for any county behind Bristol County. And statewide, the positivity rate for the last 7 days jumped to 18.42, which is more than double last week's 8.32. So those numbers keep increasing. They're increasing across the board. And it mirrors what we're seeing in society, what we're seeing around, that the Omicron variant is here. It is highly transmissible. People are getting it. The early data shows that even though it transmits more easily, if you are vaccinated, the symptoms are mild or you are asymptomatic. Moderna has announced that their booster shot is very effective against Omicron. So again, we will continue to urge you, if you are not vaccinated and can be, please get vaccinated. If you have not gotten your booster yet, you should schedule a booster. Anyone 16 and over is currently eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. Anyone 18 or over is eligible for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. 6 months after your second Johnson, Moderna or Pfizer shot, 2 months after your Johnson & Johnson shot, you are eligible for a booster. The FDA is expected to approve booster shots for Pfizer for 11 to 15-year-olds. That could happen as soon as today. Once that is done, then the CDC has to give final approval, but we do expect shortly that boosters will be available for residents 11 to 15 who receive the Pfizer vaccine. So we think that's good news. Again, if you haven't been vaccinated, please do so. If you haven't been boosted, please do so if you're eligible. There is new guidance out for mask wearing. It is advised that everyone wear a mask when they're going inside to reduce the spread of the Omicron variant. That is regardless of vaccination status. It's especially important for those who may be autoimmune compromised or have underlying health conditions that you mask up. The state has not opposed a statewide mask mandate yet, but it is recommended that when you go inside, you wear a mask. So the numbers keep going up. The data from South Africa seems to show that Omicron peaked in South Africa and has started going down. So hopefully that bodes well for us here, that this will peak sometime in the near future and then start going down. But right now, COVID is still with us. It's still impacting us. We're just going to have to get through this like we did before. The good news is, as we said, the data seems to show that Omicron is not as invasive. It's not as severe when you get it as the Delta variant. So we'll continue to monitor it and continue to try to get through it. We do not have any testing kits. We do get calls from that. We were not one of the communities that received testing kits from the state. The school department did receive testing kits for teachers. Those were distributed over the weekend for the teachers to get vaccinated. We will be looking to get some testing kits. However, looking at the delivery dates, I think by the time we get them, it might be too late to actually be of use to us, but we're going to continue to monitor that. If we do have testing kits available, we will let people know. The other update is, as of 12/27, all hospitals in the Commonwealth have been directed to postpone or cancel all non-essential elective procedures likely to result in an overnight stay in the hospital and inpatient stay. So if you have something scheduled, please check with your doctor and your physician before you go to the hospital or to the physician's office to make sure that that's still ongoing, because that has been stopped right now to keep beds available for people who might get sick with Omicron or with critical conditions. So I know it's not the news people want to hear starting the new year, but we get through it so far. We'll continue to get through it. Stay safe, keep washing your hands, wear your mask when you go inside. And if you feel sick, I think the big thing is stay home. I've been saying this from the beginning, your grandmother was right. Wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough, and if you don't feel good, stay home. There is new quarantine guidelines available. You can get them at mass.gov on the CDC website, what the new quarantine guidelines are for the new Omicron variant. Widows Walk Clubhouse, the floor's going in, so we expect that to be done fairly shortly. You can walk your dogs there right now, Widows Walk. We ask that you please pick up after your dogs. There are barrels available. Stay off the greens, stay out of the traps. Please be respectful for the course in the winter time so we won't have damage to it for the summertime. But we're expecting in the spring to have the clubhouse open, to have the pro shop open, to have a restaurant open, and the golf course will be back up and running 100%. So if you're walking there this winter, again, please be respectful of the course. So we're ready to go in the spring. I think the only other thing we want to let people know is we are expecting a high tide today at about 11:15. It is higher than normal. We will have the start of a northeast wind from a storm that's coming up the coast. That wind will be ramping up during the day. So we might see some minor splash over. We might see some minor flooding in those areas, Cole Parkway and others that we see flooding in. So around between 11 and 12, please be careful out there. Keep an eye out when you're driving if you're in a low-lying area. There is a possibility of some snow later on, but it doesn't look like at this point we will see an accumulation. We'll just see a dusting. But it could be messy driving later on, so people please be careful driving, and we'll get through that too. So I don't have a lot of good news, unfortunately, to start the new year, but as I said, we'll get through this, and we'll get through it together as we have in the past. So keep paying attention, keep tuning in, and we'll keep giving you the updates as they change over the next week or so.
Great, thank you, Jim. As Jim noted, with all the changes now, we have town business is going to continue. We are going to have most meetings remote, go back to Zoom meetings this week. And most of our meetings are going to be to further the discussions and review of our fiscal 23 budget. That process began last year with the departments providing Mr. Bedreau with their projections, and now it is all under review by the Select Board, Advisory, and Capital Planning. So this week, our town meetings are tomorrow night. The Select Board will meet at 6:30 via Zoom to continue the review of the budget proposals. We'll talk about finance, IT, police, and fire, among other budgets tomorrow night. And we will also be receiving a presentation on financing options for our water treatment plant. It will be very expensive, and we're going to begin the process tomorrow night of reviewing how we're going to pay for it. So if you're interested in that, tune in. Wednesday night at 5:30, Affordable Housing Trust will meet. 6:30, Capital Planning will meet to review the budgets as well. 7 p.m. Waterways will be meeting. Right now, I think that's still in person at the senior center, but we'll see if they change that. Thursday, 7 o'clock, Advisory will take up the budgets, and at 7 o'clock, the Shark Committee, which is reviewing proposals for reusing Pier 44, will also be meeting. So those are the town meetings this week. Business will continue. Keep safe, wear your masks, and if you're sick, stay home. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.